this is Amanda from Multisoft Corporation, your MLM solutions provider. Today I'm going over some compensation training and user management. So I'm here under Users and Manage Users. And that brings me here. And I'm just hovering over distributor name, and I'm going to go over enrolling sponsor. So this is basically used if you'd like to change who somebody is sponsored under or the placement. So there's different systems that it might look a little bit different when we use this. So I'm just going to click on one first so you can see what the screen looks like. So I'm clicking on enrolling sponsor. And you can see that this particular test site has all system enabled. We have a unilevel, a matrix, and a binary. And if you look, all of them are the same for this particular system. They're all user 100,000 because I picked one at the top probably. But also when you're changing someone, you would come in here and you would change their sponsor and where you'd like them placed. And I just want to give you a little bit more of an explanation of that by going to the genealogy tree so you have a better understanding of what that means. So I'm here in the genealogy tree, and in the unilevel is the easiest when you're doing sponsor and placement because they're always the same. So if I am sponsored under 100,000, I'm going to be placed somewhere under 100,000's tree. This is their entire tree. It just keeps going as far left and as far right as I can go. Now if you go to a matrix, it's a little bit different because you can see there, in this particular matrix, it's only 3 wide. So yours could be different. It might be 3 wide. So my sponsor could be different than where I'm actually placed in the tree. If I'm placed down here, my sponsor might not be 100,005. It might actually be someone from up in the tree. And that's the same thing with the binary because it's always 2 by 2. So I could be placed here, not necessarily, my sponsor might not be 100,002. It might be 100,000. So that's basically when you're back there, that's what you're seeing. The sponsor is always the person that brought me in, but where I'm placed in the tree could be different. So let's go back to our manage users. And let's look at, let's go ahead and look at someone who isn't deleted. So let's look at Donald right here. So there's a couple things that you need to know when you're changing somebody. First rule is that if I change somebody, everybody in my tree that's below me is also going to move with me. So let's look at Donald Hunk right here, 100,006. Let's get ID 100,006. I'm going to go to Company Genealogy and Company Genealogy. And we'll go ahead and find 100,006 here. And if they don't have anybody under them, so 100,006 doesn't have anybody under them, so nobody would be moved with them. But let's say I moved 100,002. So Sierra does have some people that she's sponsored. So if I moved 100,002 under 100,001, we would see everybody in her tree move with her. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's move 100,002 under 100,001. So I'm going to go to User and User Management, or Manage Users. And we'll go to 100,002, and I'm going to do Enrolling Sponsor. And I'm going to click right here. And when you're doing this, you want to make sure, I'm going to change it all the way across. You have to give it some time to update, so you want to make sure that this is the person that I'd like them to be sponsored under. So I'm going to go all the way across right here, and then click anywhere, and then wait for it to update. And then I'm just going to copy this, keep going across. And depending on if you have all 3 systems, most people don't, you would have to do this all the way across. You'll notice as when you first start you might, but then you might just actually have the systems that you have, usually 1 or 2. And then I would just put in my reason. It does have to be 15 characters. I usually put a few dots after just to make sure I meet that criteria, and I always use auto balance. And I'm going to click on Save. Okay, so it was saved successfully. I want you to notice a couple things here. The placement is not what I put it as, 100,001, and that's because in the binary system there's only 2 places that they can put them. The sponsor will always stay the same. The placement might be different. This shouldn't affect anything if you have a unilevel commission and you're changing a sponsor and placement and you have one of these systems that you're using as a different way of paying a commission, you might see the placement change, and that's okay. It shouldn't affect any kind of payment in your system, but you can always create a ticket just to be sure. But in this one, it did change. So let's go ahead and go over to our genealogy tree. Okay. So here's Sierra. So you notice Sierra is now under 100,001 and everybody in her tree moved with her. So that's something important to remember. So if you move somebody, everybody that's in their tree is also going to move with them. And so it might take additional moves if you don't want that to happen. You might need to move somebody back. If you didn't want this particular user moved or something, you might want to move them back to the original sponsor and placement. So that's something to remember when you're doing those moves. But those are the steps when you're moving somebody. You just want to make sure that you understand that everybody's moving with them. Another item that comes up is you can't move somebody who has personally sponsored somebody to be above them. So let's look back at our genealogy tree. So we can even look at this case under 100,001. So 100,001 personally sponsored 100,016. So I can't say, well, I'd like 100,016 to personally sponsor 100,001. It creates a loop in the system. So you would have to move, this would take two moves. You'd have to move 100,016 under somebody else and then move them under 100,001. And I can show you what happens. The system won't let you do it, but it's something that does come up. So let's try and let's try to change the sponsor of 100,001, which should show 100,000 to be 100,016. So let's go to 100,001. And we're going to try and change their sponsor to 100,016. So let's click here. We'll just wait for it to update. Oops. So we got to make sure that we're doing this, that we do see the correct sponsor show up in the window. So sometimes you have to give it a little bit of time to update and not go too fast. Let's copy this. Well, I'm not copying it right. There we go. All right, and then so everything looks fine, and then I'm just going to put in a reason, and we'll show what happens when we try and save this. So it doesn't let us, it puts everything back and it says invalid sponsor, and that's because we tried to place somebody on top of somebody who personally brought them in. So it won't let you do that. You would have to do a different move and then place them over that if you wanted to do that. But it can be done. You just can't, it just creates a loop in the system is what happens. All right, so let's move forward. So we know about enrolling sponsor and how to change the placement. Edit status rank, we call this vesting in our system, which means you can give anybody a certain rank in your system that you would like to give them without them having to go through the qualification process. So the main thing you want to remember is you have to check the system that you'd like them to be vested in, and then you would go ahead and choose their rank here. So this means that they didn't have to actually earn that rank. You're just going to go ahead and vest them to it. And you can vest them as far out as you would like. So you could vest them out 50 years if you would like. There's no amount of time that you have to set for. I can go all the way to 2030. whatever I like, and choose that end date. Now what it'll do is it'll keep them vested all the way to this date and to the end of the period, whichever this date falls in. So this would actually, if this was a monthly period, then it would take them all the way to that end of the month. If it's a weekly period that it falls in, it would take them to the end of the week. So it doesn't stop vesting them on that day, it takes them to the end of the period and vests them. So let's go ahead and vest this particular user. We're gonna vest them to teal. They're 100,001, and I'm gonna just do it in the unilevel system, and I'm gonna put in my reasons. And so this, and we're gonna go ahead and show vesting. Okay, so this one has been vested before. This is where you can see your history. All right, and then I'm just gonna update. All right, so we updated that. Let's go ahead and we're going to go back into edit status rank. And you can see that they're vested to the teal level all the way out to 100,023. You never want to use this to check someone's rank. It'll only show somebody who's vested. So anybody else we look at, it'll always show the default rank, associate member, unless you have them vested. So this is a good way to check if somebody is earning something and you don't understand how they're earning it. You can check if they've been vested, and that's how they're meeting that criteria, is the company just vested them to it. So let's go ahead and look at 100,001, and we're going to go to calculate commissions under plans and calculate and review. And when you're checking somebody, you always want to calculate commissions first, but this is the best place to check their rank, is just to go to plans and the commission stream, which is under calculate and review. I'm just going to click on the unilevel system because we only vested them in the unilevel. And I'm going to click on calculate commissions. Okay, the commissions are calculated, so I'm just going to go ahead and look at ID 100,001. So they haven't earned any commissions, but it doesn't mean they're not vested. So we're going to go ahead and display income centers that have not earned commissions. We'll put in their ID, and we're going to click on search. And you can see that they are the rank of teal that we vested them to. So that goes over how you can vest somebody. You can vest out as long as you would like, and you can also unvest them just as easy. I can just go here, go to their edit status rank. If I want to unvest them, I just uncheck it, and I can put in my reason. And we'll just click update. And then you can calculate commissions again, and they will not be vested. So let's just go ahead and calculate and show you that. I'm going to pause it while I'm calculating the commissions. So I just pushed on the calculate commission screen. I'm just waiting for it to update. Okay, so it did update. I'm going to go back to that user, 100,001. And see, now they're back to associate member rank. We remove the vesting. So when you remove the vesting, it just takes them to what they've actually earned. Now vesting will never keep them at that rank. So for this particular user that we vested, if they were to earn a rank higher than that, it won't keep them down at that rank. It lets them move up. It just keeps them from going below that rank that you vest them to. For commission adjustment, you can add commissions as negative or positive adjustments in the system. So let's go ahead and add one to our test user right here. I'm going to click on commission adjustment. This can be for any rank that you're adding an adjustment. So you always want to make sure you're in the right system that you'd like to create the adjustment in. I'm going to stay in the unilevel. And if you're doing a credit, it'll automatically populate there. You always want to make sure you're on the current open period when you're doing any kind of adjustment. And that's because if you're doing a negative adjustment, it will keep rolling over for you. And a positive adjustment, you want to make sure it's paid out and calculated in commissions. You always want to do it in the open period. Remember, closed periods are already closed, and it won't adjust in there when you're paying people out. So you always want to do it in the current open period. So when you do a credit, you don't need to do anything. You can just put, as far as this drop down, just keep it on credit, and then you can put your amount in here that you'd like to update and put in your reasons. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. And you will see it down here. You see who it was changed by. It's very easy to delete. If you're in an open period, you can just come in and delete it. If you're in a closed period, it won't let you. So as long as you're in the open period, you can delete it that easy. So I'm going to go and put that back in. And we'll go ahead and save. Now I can create a negative adjustment as well. So it's the same process. You want to make sure in your open period, let's go to a debit. You don't have to put a negative sign. We'll do 30. Okay, I'm going to do save. Alright, so we have a positive 10 adjustment and a negative 30. It gives you all the information here and the reason. They do see this in their back office. When they're looking at their commissions, they'll see these adjustments. So for the reason you can let them know why that was done right in their back office. Now we go over to plans and calculate and review. This is probably the only time we don't have to calculate commissions to see the adjustments. You see the adjustments, it takes all of them and puts them together. So if you have a negative and positive, it kind of updates the calculation right here. So you always want to click end the period to check who those adjustments were for, because they might not equal to the total, because it said that there is a total of 20. Here's a 20 here. And we know that there's a 10 in there as well. Oh, the 10 was for the same user, so it did just populate the negative 20. Let's do one more. We'll do a different user. We'll do this one. And we'll do commission adjustments. And I'll go ahead and do a debit. And we'll do 10. And I just want to verify I'm in the open period. I'm in unilevel. I'm going to save it. And here it is. So let's go to our plans and calculate and review. So you notice the adjustment is at a negative 30 right now. So let's look at that. So we have 20 and 30 right here. So if we do a positive adjustment, this is where things look a little bit different in the screen if you click on it. So let's do a positive adjustment for 100,003. So we're going to go here to commission adjustment. And we'll do keep it on credit. And we'll do 10 here. Make sure we're on the current open period and the unilevel, and we're going to hit save. And here's our information. Let's go to our plans, calculate and review. So the adjustment stays at 20, so this is where you're going to see a little bit of a different total when you click end, because this just takes all the adjustments and calculates them together. So we have a negative 20, a negative 10, and then we have a positive 10. So if you're looking just at the adjustment column, it just kind of combines everything. So you always want to click on it if you want to check for who adjustment was given to who. So that goes over the adjustments. Any kind of credit adjustments that you like to do in the system. When you're doing a negative adjustment and you close a period, it does roll over to the next period. So for instance, we have some negative adjustments in here. Let's click on one. This is only done if you put the negative adjustment in the open period. So we have Valerie right here. If for any reason her commissions did not meet the negative 20 that she has in here, when we close the period, she'll still have a negative adjustment in her next period. And if she does get some commissions, let's say of 10, it would adjust it to be a negative 10 adjustment that would roll over, and it just keeps rolling over until she meets those requirements, and she'll start earning commissions after that. So it does keep track of that. Alright, and then this edit volume is just for binary systems, so we're going to skip that in this training, and I'm going to go over disable commissions. When you disable someone's commissions, it's important to remember that they can still log in as a distributor, they can still purchase as a distributor, they can still sponsor people as a distributor, they will just not earn any commissions. So, and nobody can earn off of them. So when you disable someone's commissions, it just ignores them. It's not the same thing as deleting somebody. Sometimes this is confused with deleting a user. If you delete a user, they can't log into the system, they can't purchase as a distributor, distributor. They can't sponsor anybody. They would have to re-enroll to do all those things. If you just disable their commissions, then they can do all those things. They just won't be earning any commissions. This is mainly used maybe for a user under 1,000 if they don't want, or certain people in their system who don't want to earn commissions. They're just working in the company. So that's mainly why that is used if you disable commissions. But you are still charged for multi-soft for them, as they are an active distributor and have an active back office, and they can sponsor and purchase. So that goes over a little bit, and I'm just going to go ahead and disable someone's commission so you can see the process. And it gives you a little update warning: this member will no longer receive commissions. Are you sure you'd like to continue? And you can put OK. And you put in your reasons. And then you just click on disable commissions. So when you hover over them, you'll see that the disable commissions is gone. You can make them active again. It's really easy. All you have to do is click on active and they're able to receive commissions again. I'm just going to click on it to show you. You can click off, you give it a little bit of time to update, and then you can see they are active again. So that goes over some of those shortcuts that are available for you here in this column when you hover over a user's name in the user management. Please share this webinar training with your company administrators and support team in order to enhance the services provided to your customers and distributors. We appreciate your feedback and input. Please let us know if this helped and how we can improve supporting you. If you have any questions about this or any other trainings, would like to schedule a one-on-one training with one of our CSRs, or would like to speak with a multi-soft account executive, please call us at 1-239-945-6433 or submit a help desk ticket request at helpdesk.marketpowerpro.